Monte Carlo was supposed to be a one-off. A clever trick. A little bit of salt. A little bit of strategy. And then everyone would move on. Except they didn't. Because Monte Carlo had revealed something much more dangerous about Lancia. They didn't need to beat Audi at its own game. They just needed to make sure Audi never got to play its game. And Audi was now paying attention. After Monte Carlo, Audi protested. Officials investigated what Lancia had done. But when the ruling came back, the answer was brutally simple. No explicit rule had been broken. The salt. Legal. The tire changes. Legal. The safety concerns raised with the organizers. Also legal. Lancia had pushed the rulebook to its limits. But it had never clearly crossed the line. And that created a problem nobody had really anticipated. What happens when something is completely legal, but feels completely wrong? That question would follow Audi and Lancia through the rest of 1983. Because Monte Carlo wasn't the trick. It was the philosophy. Lancia understood something Audi had overlooked. You didn't have to find one massive advantage. You could find 10 tiny ones. Then 20. Then 50. And if you collected enough of them, they became impossible to beat. Audi's advantage was obvious. The Quattro had four-wheel drive. It could put its power down where other cars struggled for grip. Its advantage was built directly into the machine. Lancia's advantage was different. It was built into the entire operation. Before every rally, Lancia studied the roads obsessively. Every corner. Every surface change. Every place where the weather could transform a stage. The team prepared detailed pace notes. The service crews were constantly ready to react. And the 037 could be adjusted between stages to suit whatever conditions came next. None of this looked spectacular. There was no revolutionary gadget. No secret engine. No magical button on the dashboard. Just preparation. Discipline. And hundreds of tiny decisions made better than everyone else. That was Fiorio's real weapon. He understood that a rally wasn't won in one moment. It was won over hundreds of kilometers. One corner at a time. One tire choice at a time. One setup change at a time. And then there was Walter Röhrl. Lancia had one of the most dangerous weapons in rallying sitting behind the wheel. Röhrl wasn't simply fast. He was calculating. He knew exactly how hard he needed to push. And he knew when a rally could be won by attacking. And when it could be lost by making one mistake. The 037 itself helped him. It was lighter than the Quattro. More agile. And when the road dried out, the rear-wheel drive Lancia suddenly became a very different animal. On fast, dry tarmac, Audi's four-wheel drive advantage wasn't nearly as overwhelming. The Quattro had the traction. The Lancia had balance. Audi had technology. Lancia had agility. And Lancia had Röhrl. Suddenly, the championship wasn't following the script anymore. Audi was supposed to dominate. Instead, Lancia kept taking points. Then more points. And then more. Every rally became another opportunity to find an advantage. A better tire. A better setup. A faster service. A better line through a corner. A better understanding of the road. Nothing dramatic. Nothing illegal. Just relentless. And that was what made Lancia so dangerous. Audi couldn't simply copy the Quattro's advantage into the 037. Four-wheel drive was part of the car. But Lancia's advantage wasn't a component. It was a system. People. Preparation. Strategy. Drivers. Mechanics. And a team boss willing to look at a rulebook and ask one very uncomfortable question. What does it actually say? By the final rounds, the manufacturer's championship had become a genuine fight. The team that was supposed to dominate was suddenly looking over its shoulder. And the team that supposedly had the inferior car was still there. Still fighting. Still taking points. Still finding another way. Lancia hadn't built a machine that could simply overpower Audi. They had built something more difficult to defeat. A team that refused to accept any disadvantage as permanent. Monte Carlo had shown the world what Fiorio was willing to do. The rest of 1983 showed that it wasn't a stunt. It was a strategy. And Audi was about to learn the hardest lesson of the season. Sometimes you don't lose because the other car is faster. Sometimes you lose because the other team is smarter.